this morning we have some water penetration into the bedroom. It's right here. Good morning, kids. Welcome to the channel. We've moved. We moved about 30 miles north up to Oceanside, California at the beautiful Oceanside RV Resort. We left our usual winter campground, which is Sun Outdoors San Diego Bay down in Chula Vista. For this video, I probably need to apologize because we usually don't do things on the negative side of the RV world. We like to kind of keep things on the positive side. But I thought this was important to share because I learned a valuable lesson, we learned a valuable lesson going through this process, and so wanted to share it with you. What am I going to cover in this video? Well, I want to highlight some issues that we've had with the new Brinkley, specifically some issues that were brought on by our dealer. I want to talk a little bit about how Brinkley's customer service, and specifically Morgan, who was our customer service rep at Brinkley, how they were bloody brilliant through this whole process. And then if you stick around until the end, I'll share a little bit about how I think you can avoid some of these issues that we had to go through. Okay, so what happened? First off, let me just explain who our dealer was. We purchased our Brinkley from Blue Compass RV in Santee, California. They used to be Holland RV Center. We actually bought our Imagine, our previous trailer, from them, and the sales portion of things were great. We had a couple of issues. The service side of things were great back when it was Holland RV. We purchased the Brinkley and the sales part of it went very, very smooth. The service side, though, was another issue. We had Blue Compass do 3 specific upgrades to our rig. We had them install 200 amp hour lithium batteries. We had them install a Splendide washer and dryer, a stackable. And then we had them also install our Gen Y gooseneck hitch. We spent a total of about $9,000 for all of the parts and the labor to do the install. And the service side of Blue Compass managed to completely screw up 2 of the 3 upgrades we had them do. So let's talk about those. So we had them install 200 amp hour lithium batteries. They installed Battleborn batteries, and the first thing they did was when they installed them, they just crammed them into the battery box like this. They don't necessarily fit in here. They just crammed them in and then screwed the top down around them. So this is something I still need to fix. I need to build a custom battery box for these batteries. The other thing that they didn't do, you have a converter in your rig that charges your batteries. The converter needs to be switched over to the proper battery chemistry. In our case, it needed to be switched over to lithium. The WIFCO converter that we have had a auto detect feature on it. Long story short, WIFCO would not auto detect the Battleborn batteries. We wound up having to have WIFCO send us a new converter with upgraded firmware and was hardwired for lithium. And then I wound up having to install it so that it would actually charge our batteries in the right profile. This is on top of paying Blue Compass to install batteries and make sure they worked, which they didn't. As for that install of the converter, we did video that, so I will put a link up here and I will put a link in the show notes so that if you have to do that same process, you can do it. It's not that difficult. Just about anybody can install a converter. So the other issue we noticed when we had to move sites one day. Last night it rained super hard, and this morning we have some water penetration into the bedroom. It's right next to where the washer dryer is. So I've got a towel down here right now, but the water, well, you can see it's right here. It's like penetrating in right there. Yeah, So we got to figure this thing out, because the worst thing in the world is to wake up and find water inside your RV. Also, in the process of doing that, we discovered we had another issue with the kitchen slide. See if you can figure out when that happens. I'm going to bring in the slides and then put this thing back to hitch height, so if there's any water in there, it will hopefully run out. Did you hear that bang? No? Here, listen again. This is what we call in the filmmaking industry foreshadowing. Well, I think that answers our question as to whether or not we have intrusion, because of all that water coming out as soon as we went to hitch height. So at first, we weren't sure if the water leak was intrusion. Did we have some type of a leak in the cap somewhere? Or if it was an actual water leak, if it was an appliance that was leaking water somewhere. And more on that in a minute. But first, here's what was causing the bang. Yep, when it rains, it pours. So it looks like our kitchen slide will now not come out. It sounds like the motor's not engaging. It's spinning, but it's not engaging on the gear. Once again, Tony Tal has good ideas. We're gonna see if I can manually crank this kitchen slide out. See if that works. Your crank for the slide is on the opposite side of the slide, meaning your kitchen slide is on the driver's side, but the crank is on the passenger side. But here's a problem that we have. The bar and nut that the crank hooks onto for the kitchen slide, yeah, it's not there. It's just completely not there. There's just a hole. I just got off the phone with Brinkley, and as always, their customer service is just brilliant. I've got a mobile tech who's going to be coming out here at 4 p.m. to look at the slide, also to look and see if he can figure out where this water intrusion is coming in at. Hopefully the tech can get the slide fixed. Hopefully it's something simple. And if not, I guess we're just going to be sitting here with a slide that's in and go from there. It turns out that the slide problem was because there was a bent bracket that held the slide motor, and that bent bracket meant that the gear for the slide motor was coming in at an odd angle, which was causing things to bind up every time we were moving the slide in and out. This also explains how when we first got the rig, for the first couple months, every time we moved that kitchen slide, it was blowing 30 amp fuses. And I'm sure that's because this thing was all bound up, it was over amping the motor, and that was causing the fuses to blow. In this case, it just finally gave up and just literally grenaded the housing for the motor itself. Update on the water leak issue. So we have a mobile tech that came out, a lovely gentleman by the name of Guillermo, and he has pulled the washer out and the dryer out to see what's going on. What he did discover that when they installed the washer, we think they cross-threaded the hot water connection, because as soon as he bumped it, it started spraying everywhere. So here is what the bedroom currently looks like, because we have the washer there and the dryer here. These are the fittings that I was referring to that went in, that hooked the washer into the water for the washer and dryer, and they're just plastic. So they hook to these, which you can see are brass fittings. You can also tell from these pictures and how chewed up the fittings are that the dealer, after cross-threading, basically put a pair of channel locks on this thing and unsuccessfully tried to just crank the fitting down as tight as they could get. Now, honestly, I don't think that this workmanship is just incompetence. I think this is negligence. And I think this comes from the fact that we had the dealer do it. I don't think the dealer is all that interested in great workmanship when it comes to the service side. They're just interested in moving trailers off of the lot. So I think they slammed this thing in, cranked everything down as hard as they could, and off it went. And this leak really kind of was the perfect storm because it was in the middle of literal storms that we were getting, so we weren't sure if it was intrusion or if it was something that was leaking. And because of the way that they cranked this fitting down, the seal, it wasn't leaking all the time. It would only leak when it moved, when those fittings moved. So when we looked back in there, we saw no leaks. But when the washer was running and it was on a spin cycle and things were moving around, then it would move that fitting, and that's where all the water leak was coming from. So piece of advice if you're putting in a Splendide washer. For starters, take the hoses, the supply lines that they give you with those plastic fittings on them, and just throw them away. Get yourself a decent set of supply hoses with brass fittings on them. These are the hoses that we used. I'll put an Amazon link down in the show notes so that you can order them. But order them or something like them, and if you're installing, use them. If you're having somebody else install, give them to the installer and tell them to use these, not the cheap ones that are coming with the Splendide washer. Okay, now back to the slide issue. So the Mobile Tech was able to get the slide out, so we didn't have to live with one slide in. Brinkley customer service, once again, was completely amazing. We had to move within a couple of days from one site to another, and they got us the parts the day before we had to move. But when I got the parts and opened up the boxes, I was a little confused. Tony Tao is now spinning around the big box. No, leave that one for last. That's the surprise box. Hopefully the motor is in the little box. Negatory, Batman. In the little box is a kit for the attic vents that need to be replaced. What I really need to have fixed is my slide. So hopefully the slide motor that they were supposed to send us is in the big bag. What the heck did they send? This is the motor that came out of it. That's what we have. I guess we'll find out if it's what we need.
Power of positive thinking.
Tony says the power of positive thinking. I'm gonna go call Brinkley, and I'm also gonna send pictures of this to my Mobile Tech. Maybe he knows if this can work. Hashtag RV life, kids, it's so much fun. Update to the slide issue. It got fixed. So that whole slide assembly that they sent, it had a motor attached to it. So the Mobile Tech just pulled the old one out, put the new one in, and we have to move sites today. So here's the proof. Yay, we're mobile again. So, as I promised, here's my suggestion on how you can avoid some of the pitfalls that we went through. First off, don't buy your upgrades from the dealer, or if you are buying your upgrades from the dealer, don't let them do the install. If it's something that's simple enough that you think you can do it on your own, then do that. If for some reason you still think this is above my pay grade, I don't know how to do this, whatever that mod is, then I would highly suggest that you purchase the parts for the mod, but then get a hold of a Mobile Tech and have a Mobile Tech do the install. The reason for this is the Mobile Tech, his or her workmanship, that is their livelihood. That they're gonna take pride in the work that they do. The Mobile Tech that we had, a gentleman by the name of Guillermo, I'm going to link his company in the show notes below in case you're ever in San Diego and need a Mobile Tech. He was amazing. He went over and above, took the time to make sure things were done right. So go get a Mobile Tech. And the reason I say that is because dealers they're not interested in the workmanship, in my opinion. They're interested in moving RVs off of the lot. So they're gonna jam your upgrades in as quickly as they can to move that RV off the lot. And in our case, that meant lithium batteries that didn't work correctly, and it meant a water leak, and we actually had a bit of water damage in the front cap, which is getting repaired by our mobile tech. And again, Brinkley was great with sending us the parts we needed to do that. What about you? What are your thoughts? What are your experiences on having upgrades or work done on your rig? Would you take it back to your dealer? Have you taken it back to your dealer? Put some comments in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts on this. All right, that's it for this episode. We're just about done with all of our work here in San Diego, which means we're soon going to be back on the road, and we'll be starting season 4, which means we're back to producing videos once a week. And if you don't want to miss one of those videos, then you know how to do it. Click on the subscribe button, hit the like button, the thumbs up, the notifications, all that stuff. And hopefully we will see you in the next video, and if not in the next video, hopefully somewhere out on the road.